Hey guys, welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. Today I wanted to share another new resource that I have been working on, and that is my year-long digital planner. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've kind of gone through different iterations of how I've organized our lesson plans for the year and then how I've given those assignments to my own students. We started off with the traditional paper planners for each of my kids, and I hand wrote every assignment in there. Quickly realized that that was just not going to be something that was feasible long term. It took forever, and then we were crossing things off and moving things around, and it was just a mess. Then I went to a partially digital planner setup where I was entering in all of our lesson plans for the whole year into one Excel document, and then I had created some Word document templates for my kids. I would copy and paste the assignments over into there each week, print them off, put them in their planners, and then they checked off the boxes from there. And that worked well, and in fact those templates are still available on my Buy Me a Coffee shop page if you would like to get them. They're, pretty straightforward as far as entering in the data, and you can update them each week. But I wanted a way to just make it faster, where I could enter in the lesson plans and have it automatically go into planner pages for the kids. If I needed to bump something down a day or to a future date, I could do so, and it automatically updated the planner pages. And then I could just go in and print off the planner pages that I needed each week. And so that's where this project came from. So I have a new year-long homeschool planner, and I wanted to just kind of take you through it, give you a little bit of an intro and a tutorial. A lot of the instructions should be pretty straightforward, and if you purchase this planner on my Buy Me a Coffee page, which is linked down below in the description box, there will be an instruction page. It'll kind of walk you through things. However, I always have been a visual learner. I like to see somebody do it, and then that helps me to understand and to troubleshoot and things like that. So I wanted to just take you through, show you the setup, how it works and everything, and then just give you a couple of tips and tricks. And then if you purchase it and you still have questions, you can always email me. My email is not only going to be listed on the document when you purchase it, but it's always down below in the description box here for you on YouTube. But let's just dive right on in and show you kind of what it is that I've put together and how I'm hoping that it will make getting our lesson planning done a little bit faster and save me some time each week. All right, so I'm going to be working right here on my laptop, talking with you as I'm going through things. And again, I will kind of point out some of the different features of this planner and how I enter in data. So I've created a copy of this. So when you purchase it, you'll get one copy, which is set up to create a planner for one student. What I would recommend is go ahead and make some duplicates of that kind of empty template. That way you always have the template to reuse from year to year, and you can make however many copies you need for your individual students. Why couldn't I put multiple students onto one workbook? Well, I probably could, and maybe in the future I will do something like that. However, there was a lot of time that went into just formatting it for one student. So I'm just going to be making a copy of this workbook for each of my kids, and that's what I would recommend for you to do as well. But let's dive right on in and take a look at it. So the first thing I want you to know is with Excel, the entire document is called a workbook. So there is the main workbook, and then when I talk about worksheets, those are these individual sheets at the bottom. So you can see there's an instruction tab, year plan, student 1, weekly planner, 1-page view, and weekly planner, 2-page view. So that's the difference between a workbook and a worksheet. So if we're referencing one or the other, you know what the terms mean. So the first page is going to go through, and it's going to give you some important notes and some getting started things to note. Now, what I've done with certain worksheets within this workbook is I have protected them with a password. That way, if you're going in, you can't accidentally delete a formula from a cell that is necessary for data to flow from one worksheet to another. You can unprotect it. The password instructions are in the instructions on here if you need to make some edits. However, I highly recommend keeping it protected so you don't accidentally delete the formatting and then nothing will work for you. So that's just something to note. The other thing that's really important to note is that the way formulas work in Excel is you have to specify the names of where you're pulling data from. So do not change the name of any of these worksheets, because that will make linked cells not connect together the way they're supposed to. So the one that says year plan student 1, never change the name of that workbook or nothing will work the way it's supposed to. So on the year plan student one page, this is where I'm actually going to be entering in my data. So everything is going to go onto this page. I'm going to put in my subject information, the dates that are going to correspond with different weeks, and then my actual assignments. It's really the only page in this workbook where I'm entering information. So you can see I've got it set up to do up to 8 subjects. I can click on one of these boxes and I can change the name of that subject. So let's just say, for example, my son is going to be doing pre-calculus next year. So I might just call it pre-calculus or pre-calc. He is going to be doing, let's see, we'll just put literature 11. And I'm going to put English 11. Now, I put everything together into one grade for him. So grammar, vocabulary, writing, and literature. However, there's a lot when you're combining all of those different things. So sometimes I like to space them out into different subject columns so it's not so overwhelming for him. He's going to be doing physics. And I'm not going to fill out all of these, but I do want to show an example of how I'm going to do this for our Guest Hallow curriculum. So we do some literature and activity-based programs through them, which tend to have a lot for the kids to do each day. So rather than trying to cram it all into like one little box on a planner page, I'm going to actually space that out over 2 columns. So I'm going to do U.S. History reading, and then I'm going to do U.S. History activities. And so that way, like when he's doing like the videos or the hands-on activities and things like that, that's going to be in a separate column than the rest. So you could, again, just fill it out through all there. Now you'll see over on the left where we have the different weeks. I have it set up to do 36 school weeks simply because that's the most common is 36 weeks. You don't have to use all of them. Unfortunately, I don't have it formatted where you could add more after that. So my apologies. That's just kind of where I ended it. But I could insert the dates. So I'm just going to throw in random dates. I don't know if any of these are correct. So let's say that week 1 is going to be the week of 8/14 to 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 8/18. So let's just say that that's what that week is going to correspond to. So I want to put in my subjects on top. I want to put my dates in. Now I can go and put dates in however far out I would like to on all of these different weeks. If I know what the exact dates are going to be for our first 6 weeks of school, I can do that. But I can always go back and change it if we decide to take a week off or if something else comes about. Now on these different cells here, so you can see like under pre-calculus for Monday, you're going to see that I've already got it formatted with a couple of check boxes. Now, if we go up here, so you can see this is kind of the data bar that goes with that. You can't see quite everything, but you see over here on the right where there's an arrow. I can click that arrow, and that allows me to see the entire cell or to scroll up and down and see within the cell. Excel is a little weird. You can format a cell to wrap text, which means if I was just writing and it got to the end of the box, I could have it go to the next line and just keep going. But to add like an individual row, like if I wanted to write, read these pages, and then I wanted to enter down and say, do this assignment, and then enter down and study this, you actually have to hit Command and Shift and Return to make it enter down. And I thought, well, what if I just at least put in some markers to already have those lines inserted for you? So what I mean is that like on this first one here, like the first box, it's one line. So I could say, read page 1 through 5, right? That's going to be his first assignment there, to read page 1 through 5. And then let's say I want him to do problems 1 through 20 and then study for quiz. Let's just say those are 3 tasks that I want to be a part of his assignment for that day. I can just put them on the individual lines. Now, if you don't like having the checkboxes, you can delete them and you can just type things in. I just wanted to create those individual lines for you so they were already there and you could do that. So if I didn't want a checkbox in front of read, I could just delete it like that. And I could delete the one that I don't need. And that's what it would look like in the box. You can see how it looks in the box there. But I do like having the checkboxes, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave those in. So let me, again, just put in some assignments here. So I'm going to put read page 1 through 5, do problems 1 through 20. Now I'm just going to go ahead and put in 5 days worth of assignments here. I just want to get that data entered so that way you can see what it's going to look like on the actual planner view pages. Okay, so here I've entered in assignments for each of the days. You can see I did not need all 4 lines and all 4 checkboxes, so I just deleted the ones that I didn't need as I was typing them in there, so I can see on there. So when you click on the box itself, I do recommend that you go up to this area up top here where you can actually type in on each of the individual lines, and you can use the arrows, you know, to expand it. There's a little scroll bar if you have things that are going on multiple lines, and you can scroll up and down. I mean, is it a perfect system with Excel? No, but it's totally workable. Just takes a little bit of practice to get used to how it is you enter the data into these cells. Now, how does this look then on our other pages? So if we go down here to the different worksheets, I'm going to go to the first one, which is the weekly planner 1-page view. So this puts everything onto one page for the week. So you have the date at the top, which week it is, week 1, 2, whatever. And then you have Monday through Friday list on the top and the subjects going down the side. And then it's going to plug that information on there. So you can see that what I've entered in for calculus is showing up on Monday through Friday. Now on this page also, you're going to see that there is a note box that you can enter in additional information. If you have other things you need your student to know, whether you want to type in notes or handwrite notes on there, maybe you need to make a quick note of things that you're going to need to copy or print for them, whatever. It's just there for whatever notes it is you need. Or maybe your student needs to know that they have a dentist appointment on a given day and they're going to need to shorten their work day, or hey, don't forget we have this, or don't forget that next Monday there's going to be a test you're going to want to study. However, but you can also see here that our subjects have entered in over here. Now, what happens if I entered in a subject name and it's a little too big for what I put on there? So you can see that U.S. history is a little big. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to shorten it back on the year plan student 1 page. I'm going to want to shrink it down there. You could go through and you could unprotect this worksheet, change the size of these fonts, and then shrink it down. I'm just going to go ahead and shrink down, you know, what I have on here. So I'm just going to change that to U.S. history read, and I'm going to change this to U.S. history activity. So let's see if that fits a little bit better. Pretty close. Yep. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to shorten these. So, you know, I am going to have to use some shorthand on here. So, I'm just going to change this to history reading, and I'm going to change it to history activity. And again, like, you could go in and you could unlock or unprotect this workbook, and you could change the size of the font on all of these. I wanted the font to be fairly big so students could see it, but you could go in and you could adjust it and you can make it different sizes. But that looks like that fits in there. History activities, history reading, physics, English, lit. I mean, my student's gonna know what I'm referencing. It's not like we have to put like the whole formal title in there. As long as they know which subject they're working on, they're golden. Anyway, so this is what it looks like on the 1-page view. So you could get everything on there. Now, if you have a student who maybe has some like longer assignments, or you need to put a lot more detail into here, maybe a 1-page view is too small for you, or maybe you like to be a little bit wordier in how you explain your assignments. The 1-page view is really good if you like to do a short, concise assignment for your student. Read these pages, do these problems, study for this. You know, you just want to kind of condense it all down. You might prefer the 2-page view if you like to have a little more space for writing. So if we click over to this workbook that says the 2-page view, you can see it has it, again, spread it over 2 pages, but now the subjects are along the top and Monday through Friday are down along the side. So on pre-calculus, you can see my assignments on there, but you can see just how much more space is available for writing out the assignments. So again, if you like to write a lot of details in the assignments for your students, the 2-page view is probably going to be the one that works better for you. And you'll notice if you're putting a whole bunch of data in, that might make that 1-page formatting look really wonky because it's going to extend out cells and not fill and all that stuff, but it will look fine for the 2-page view. So it's pretty helpful to know which of the 2 views you're going to want to use for this year. Now, I'm probably going to print on the 2-page view simply because I do tend to get a little wordy when I'm putting my assignments together for my students. I just give them a lot of details, and I'll just print it front and back. That's what he's used to from last year, is he would get a front and back page each week. So he would go through and do the assignments for Monday and flip it over and do the rest of the Monday assignments. That is what he's used to seeing, so that is how I am going to utilize it. But again, you have a section here for entering in notes, and you can put in all of the information. Now, what if I want to customize things? Let's say my student's not really into the rainbow colors that I have for the different subjects. I just thought it was pretty. But I can unprotect this sheet. So if I go up to the review tab and I click unprotect sheet, I can put in the password. And again, the password is provided when you purchase this. So now this sheet is unprotected. Now that does mean that I could accidentally go into a cell, and you can see here how there is a formula there. That's what's pulling the data from my year plan to this worksheet. So you do not want to delete those formulas. Don't delete them. Don't delete them. So if you're gonna unprotect this workbook, do so only to edit certain things, namely the subject bar colors, or maybe the size of that text, and the student name on this page. So I could go up to these boxes here. If I click on the box and I go under the Home tab, I can change the fill color. So maybe I want to make these all different shades of blue. Maybe I want to make them gray. Maybe I just want to leave them black and white. I can do that if I wanted to change those. I could also change the size of the text. So let's say I really did want this to say, you know, U.S. history activities. I wanted it all spelled out. I could shrink that text down to make it fit. You know, I could do a wrap text so that way it would go from one line to the next. I could do those things if I wanted to. That is totally up to you if you would like to make those changes. So don't delete the formula. Like, you'll see how there's still a formula for where it's pulling that subject title from. However, you can change the color fill, the size of the text, the wrapping, and all of that stuff. Down at the bottom here is the footer as well. You see where it says student name. If I double click on that, I can adjust that, and I can change that student name to whatever I want. So let's say I wanted to make this for my son Ethan. So as soon as I click that, it's going to change the footer to show Ethan on every single one. That's just helpful if you're printing out multiple pages for different students and you want to keep track of which one goes with which kid. So it will automatically put that on every single footer page. So that is something that you can do, and you can change that at any time. Just go back in, double click, and there you go. It's back on there. I can also go into the notes pages, and I can make notes to myself or to my students. So make sure to pull lab supplies for this week. You know, I can put that in there, and those are just, again, typed notes that I can have. So you can do all of that with the workbook unprotected. What I would recommend is if you're going to do things like customizing the student name or the colors for the subjects and things like that, as soon as you're done, go back to that review tab and click on protect the sheet and put up the password back in. So it's going to ask for the password and for you to verify. So you can go ahead and protect that sheet, and then that way, again, you aren't at risk of accidentally deleting the formulas. So you can end up putting this in for all of your different subjects, and it's going to flow through from one week to the next. So for example, if I go into the next week, let's just say I'm going to put read lesson 2 intro, watch tutorial video. I'm just going to put in a couple of different things here because I want to show you what was kind of my big thing that was kind of giving me hiccups with how I was doing this before. Okay, and also I should note, let's say you accidentally delete that little checkbox and you really want it back. You could do one of two things. You could either like highlight it from somewhere else and copy it, so, you know, and then paste it back in. Or you can insert, and you can do insert a symbol, and you can add that in. So a couple of different options. All right, let's say that here my son has been doing those assignments. There's week 1. There it's flowed on to week 2. Or on the week 2 planner, you can see there is week 1. And we can scroll down, we can see week 2. But let's say he was sick a day and did not get any assignments on that day. And I need to shift everything down. But I don't really want to go through and like copy and paste and change everything. Here's what I'm really excited about. So let's just say on Thursday he was sick and he didn't do any schoolwork, and I need to push everything back a day. I'm going to click on the box for that day that the assignment didn't get done for whatever reason. I'm going to make sure that it's highlighted. You see how it's highlighted in green. I'm going to right click I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to say Shift Cells Down. So now that's a blank cell because we didn't do anything, but you'll see that everything else moved down a day. And on our planners, everything moved a day as well. So the quiz moved to Friday, or the review problems went to Friday. The quiz moved to the following Monday, and everything just shifted down. So I'm really excited about this because one thing that I like to do is when I'm entering in all my lesson plans for the year, I just list all of them just in a straight row. And that doesn't matter to me if there's 100 lessons for the year, if there's 180 lessons for the year, whatever. I just list them all down. And then I go through and I figure out how I want to space them week to week. So this will allow me to just get them all listed and then sit there and adjust those dates. Now, of course, you can copy and paste data on the year plan student one page. So if I wanted, I could have just taken all of that, copied it, and then pasted it down. Could totally do that, or I could do this and have it shift down automatically. Now at the very, very bottom, let's scroll all the way to the bottom. What it will do is it will push some boxes down here beyond where our planner ends. There's no really getting around that if you do the insert method. However, it's not going to impact what flows into your planner. So I'm just excited to be able to easily push all of the assignments back a day and be able to make those adjustments. So this is the digital planner. Again, a couple of things to make sure you note is that the actual weekly view, the one-page view and the two-page view are protected. You need to unprotect them if you want to change the size of font, the type of font, because you can do that as well. You could click on a box and you can make that font bigger or smaller if you would like to. It's all, we got to make sure it's unprotected. So let's say, let me unprotect this sheet again. So I can click on this and I could, shrink it down if I wanted that font to be smaller. I could make it bigger if I'd like it to be larger. However I would like to do that, that is totally up to you. If I don't like the font that has been chosen, I can choose a different one. I can unlock and I can change the size of the font for the subjects, the color fills, and all of that. Just do not delete formulas. I cannot stress that enough. Don't delete formulas or information won't flow from one planner to the next. Now, how do you go about printing this when you're all ready? You can see that right now it's on a page view. So this is a page layout view, and I'll kind of scroll out so you can see what that looks like. So it shows you what is going to print on a single page. So for the 1 week view, we have this one page. For the 2-page view, pages 1 and 2, okay? So you can actually look when you're entering in data. If it looks like it has shifted things to where they're on different pages, it tells you that you need to make some of your font smaller to keep it all formatted onto a single page, which shouldn't be a problem. I'm pretty wordy, and I've been doing this for my lesson planning, and I haven't had to reformat anything. But if I wanted to print the 2-page view, I'm going to go up to File and then Print, and you'll see all of the different page options. So just note that there are 2 pages then for each week in the 2-page view. So pages 1 to 2 are week 1, 3 to 4 are week 2. So just make sure that you've selected the right pages. So I'll do a page range, and I would, let's say, printing page 1 to 2, and I can choose if I want to print it in color and if I want it to be double-sided, and it will print on a single page. If you have any issues with things like auto formatting to where they're like cutting off on pages, then you can select just one page to print, and you can do a scale to fit 1 page by 1 page, and it will shrink it to fit onto 1 page. But you have to select a single page for that to work. And if you have questions on that, please feel free to email me. I try to explain things clearly, but I know sometimes, And on the 1-page view, same deal. I'm going to go up to Print, and I'm going to select which page I want to do. So there's just 1 page for each of the 36 weeks that you would reference. So that is a little bit on how you would use this digital planner. I am going to be entering in all of my students' lesson plans into this, and this is what I'm going to be using to print off their weekly planner pages for them. And as I kind of go through and take you guys through my lesson planning process and what I'm doing for each of the different classes, you'll see me entering information into this sheet. So hopefully this is another great homeschooling resource for you guys. It is available starting now in my Buy Me a Coffee shop page that's linked down below in the description box. Now there are lots of other resources on there as well, including my free transcript workbook, my new course, the Practical Life Skills course, my Christmas Around the World unit study, as well as my back to homeschool high school checklist. So check out all of the different resources on there. Some of them are free, some have a small cost to them, but I'm hoping that they can all be blessings to you and your homeschool. If you have any questions about this digital planner or any of my other homeschool resources, please feel free to drop a comment on this video and I will be happy to answer those for you. Thanks so much for joining me for today's video, everybody. I will see you in the next one, and until then, happy homeschooling.